Iowa State at BYU. BYU is plus 6.5, 41.5 at home. No, man, it's BYU after dark. They're wearing their all-black uniforms. Everybody's excited.
Right.
Is that why BYU sports fan is talking about firing Kalani Sitake? And this is a hot button issue. And in the comment sections, let's get into it. Because I think the Big 12 has had a really difficult year. And I think if you look around this league, whether it is Sonny Dykes at TCU, certainly Joey McGuire at Texas Tech, Dana Holgerson at Houston, I mean, you have had a very, very difficult run for some guys in a league where this was supposed to be Neil Brown's like death march. And it only turns out that Neil Brown ain't dead yet. So why are we talking about Kalani Sitake being fired at BYU? And I struggle with this because it seems like it's every single year that we talk about Kalani's not the right guy anymore and he's not the guy to take this program to new heights. Well, I would remind you that before the season, and I feel like we've said this every day, if BYU wins 6 games, you should put a statue of Kalani Sitake out front of LaVell Edwards Stadium. They've won 5 games. Are they perfect? No. But has BYU met expectations? The answer is absolutely. They have not met expectations. I believe BYU football this year has exceeded expectations. And I understand the BYU fan thinks you should win every single game, as you should. As a Notre Dame fan, I believe they should be undefeated every single year, except the year that Manti Te'o's fake girlfriend never died.
Notre Dame, our mother.
Different show. But my point is, BYU football has exceeded expectations. So why is it every single November we're talking about whether or not Kalani Sitake should be fired? Because I think it's time that BYU football fan truly become a supporter of BYU football. Jake, should Kalani Sitake be fired?
No, I mean, I don't think he should be fired under any circumstances. I agree they've overachieved. And I think, you know, your point about it seems like every November, every single year, Kalani's job is always being questioned, whether it was, 2 years ago with the Oregon thing or, last year with, the defensive coordinator situation, or this year with the quarterback situation that we have at hand right now. Like, there's always something that BYU fan wants to point to as to why Kalani should get whacked. And I just don't really understand it. Do you have a quarterback problem? Yeah, you've got a quarterback problem right now. Maybe calling it a quarterback problem is a little aggressive, but a quarterback conversation, yeah, you have a conversation around who should play quarterback. That doesn't mean that your head coach should be fired. Is there a conversation about your offensive coordinator and the job that he's doing or not doing? Yes, there's a conversation around that. That doesn't mean Kalani should be fired. You understand that you have 3 games to win 1 game. And this game in front of you is probably your best chance to do that. And if they win the game this Saturday and they're bowl eligible, I just don't understand why this conversation needs to continue. Because Kalani, by anybody's measure at that point, has met expectation. In my opinion, he's far exceeded expectation. And so BYU fan, I think, is tired of being in the 5 to 7 win range. BYU fan wants 10 wins Zach Wilson BYU football back. And that doesn't happen overnight. And honestly, when you have things like NIL and the transfer portal and all this change happening in college football, and then you throw on the fact that you just joined a Power 5 conference as an independent, yeah, that's a lot of change to go through a football program. So I don't think under any circumstance this guy should be fired at all, not even a little bit.
And I think when you talk about BYU, obviously you have a pretty unique set of circumstances here. Beyond the fact it's BYU and they're owned by the church. It's a lifestyle that is unlike any other lifestyle for a college football player across the country. When you're talking about truly living a clean lifestyle, when we're talking about 18 to 20-year-old kids who sex is a huge part of their college experience. Well, that's unless you're at BYU where on a regular basis, unless you are married, sex is forbidden. When you talk about things like drinking, when you talk about things like the prevalence of marijuana, when you talk about things like sports gambling, when you talk about things like parties, that's not the lifestyle at BYU. R-rated movies are not the lifestyle at BYU, and I think people conveniently forget about that. Kalani Sitake is the perfect guy for this job. Before he took it, now that he's got it, and once he's gone, he will still be the perfect guy for this job. He is an alum, he is in the church, and he is passionate about BYU football. And those three things are very, very difficult to find. He has made tough decisions, and I think Kalani has shown you with the Jay Hill hire and all of the change that went on last year. I think he's shown you he's willing to make tough decisions. The good news is Tom Homo's not a guy that makes knee-jerk decisions about changing coaches. Kalani's going to be fine. Does he need to recruit better? Yeah, they need to rapidly ramp up. Do they need to get into the portal? They need to aggressively use the portal. Do you, as Jake talked about, do you need to look at A-Rod? Absolutely you do. Kalani Sitake is far from the problem. Now, if you want to talk about Jake Retzloff, I think this quarterback change, this one's going to be difficult. Because I think from what we've heard, this is not a locker room united behind Jake. It is not. And I don't love the timing of it. I don't love the hows and whys of it. And I'm telling you right now that when you make a quarterback change, you are asking for trouble, especially when you do it the first weekend of November and you got your ass busted. And that quarterback was no better than the one he replaced.
Yeah,
that's the God's honest truth.
And I think that the issue here is that BYU is not doing it in a way where it's just definitive. Hey, Retzloff is number one, and that's the end of the story. What did we really get? We got, well, we'll see what happens. The week of last week, West Virginia week. What did we get the week leading up to the game? Well, we'll see. We'll see. Keaton's dealing with this game time decision. All that gray area coach speak that we all know and love when it comes to injury and player availability. And so now, what are we getting this week? Well, we're just going to play the best guy. If the best guy is 80% and that gives us the best chance to win, then we'll play that guy. If the best guy is a young guy who's 100% healthy, then we'll play that guy.
Yeah.
No, there's no commitment to the guy who got you those 5 wins. And I don't give a damn how we went about doing it. And I'm not saying that Keaton is some world beater, because he's not. But he did get you 5 wins in the Big 12.
And we're talking about Iowa State, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. 3 very, very good football teams. And we're talking about a situation where you're going to play a guy in Jake Retzloff, who, granted, he's a junior college transfer. That has meant nothing historically. It's not as though all of a sudden you were throwing the ball all over the place and he was a dual threat master. The offensive line is the problem. Keaton Slovis isn't the problem. The offensive line is the problem. And I think the bigger issue is you're going to go against 3 of the better defenses that you faced all year. And it's going to start with Iowa State, trust me. And I think you are going to really struggle to be competent offensively. And you have a significant amount of injuries and depth issues on defense. This is going to be a very tough month. It's going to be a very tough month. And I don't think replacing Kalani was the right way to go about it.
You guys realize BYU didn't score until the 4th quarter. Like, you were working on getting shut out in that game. We're not talking about, he came in and, was a 35, 31 barn burner game and, just lost in the end. Better team won that day. Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, hey, you got your ass beat by West Virginia, and it really wasn't all that close. And that's what kind of bothers me about this whole thing. We're so quick to move on from what was working.
Yes.
We're so quick to be like, oh, well, Retzloff, the grass is greener with dude. And it has nothing to do with him. That's the problem. It has everything to do with BYU fan is never satisfied with where you're at in the process. You have to understand where you're at.
And I'm not an A-Rod guy. The conservative check down offense that BYU, and I think Utah fans are well aware of this from his time there. I just think it's a mistake. At some point, you have to adapt to modern college football offenses. and you have this guy that you went to in Jake Retzloff that you said, oh, well, dual threat, and he truly is. Dual threat, let's do it. Well, then let's do it. Let the kid throw the ball and let the kid run some RPO. Let him make his mistakes and learn on the fly. And eventually he's going to break out in these next 3 games, I would think, if he remains healthy behind what is, I mean, he's a screen, that offensive line's a screen door on a battleship, dude. Like it is just not very good, but you can't keep running, okay, 3 steps, throw it left. Like the next time that they throw a check down that's a yard short of a first down, who's surprised by that anymore?
Yeah, well, and the numbers say that that's all they do. He's averaging 5 yards an attempt last week. I mean, that's not going to get it done.
Not by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
All right, let's get your comments. We need to talk about the college football playoff rankings coming up in 5 minutes. Greg Hawkins. What's up, Greg? Good to see you, my guy. I think Kalani is doing the best with what he's given, but he's not being given enough. Resources are always going to be in question, and we'll never know what they are because as a private institution, they're not going to tell you. And I think the NIL game is a problem at BYU. And people like Coug Connect and the collectives that so passionately work on behalf of BYU football, you need a full cycle NIL program. And it's not just that, for instance, Utah got a truck deal. It's nothing to do with that. You need a full cycle. You need people who are facilitating those NIL deals. And whether you want teams and universities to be involved or not, they are. Let's stop with our head in the sands. Oh, well, I mean, universities, they're not involved. Coaches and universities are not involved. Then why are we talking about how much NIL money they get when we're recruiting? Coaches and universities are not involved. Guy, come on. Like full circle NIL cycle. That's what you need. Big Daddy Magic. BYU needs rad Michigan football for talent. Needs to raid. Yeah, that's probably not going to work. Tanner Plummer, honor code wasn't really enforced in the 80s. Well, no, it was not. But again, I will tell you, everybody says, well, they should, football players don't have to abide by the honor code. That's just not true. BYU, Kalani and I have had this conversation directly. They recruit using the honor code. They don't hide from it or run from it. There's no way to do that. That's like running away from, well, but coach, I'm terrible at testing. Well, you don't have to take your finals then. It doesn't work that way. There's the ultimate test at BYU is, you're going to sign the honor code, but can you stick to it? Because you guys think I see all the comments thinking that I'm joking about sex at BYU. It's called a chaste lifestyle, and that's what's expected if you are not married at BYU. And it is not up for discussion. It's not. So it is not a lifestyle that's for everybody. And Jamal Williams, the fine running back in the NFL, you look at the way that he went through his time, took a year off. He went through all the possession by consumption and all of it. And the list is endless. The Harvey Ungas of the world, it's not for everybody, man. It is not for everybody. Certainly it is not for everybody. Greg Hawkins, my longstanding opinion is still that BYU needs to hire a real OC. Absolutely. Greg also says 3rd and 7, A-Rod dials up a 5-yard curl. Exactly right. Exactly right. And you know what the worst part of that 5-yard curl is? They hit it every time. And they never get the first down. It's the Oklahoma State game.
Yes.
Yeah. Stoops runs. He needs 5 yards. He ran a 3-yard out. And boy, did Gabriel put it right on him too. Great catch, kid. 2 yards short of the first down. Congratulations. But that's not good. That's not good. Conundrum, at least they have Starbucks. They do not have warm caffeinated beverages at BYU. Kevin, it's my early night for the car dealership. Oh, you work in the car business.
Nice.
I like it. GTI Brandon, my hope is Kalani won't wait as long as he did to make a call to bring Jay on. A-Rod has until the end of the season, in my opinion. The O-line coach should be fired yesterday. The problem is for every Kingsley Suamataia, I look at some of the way that personnel decisions were made. I think you look at last year, swapping guys out, Harris LaChance from tackle to guard to tackle to guard, and then you're not going to play for a game. But it feels nonsensical.
Yeah.
It feels nonsensical to me. Ryan Willie for $5. Appreciate you, Ryan. I believe that if Day gets axed for losing to Michigan, Fickell would leave Wisconsin for OSU. The buyout on Fickell, one, is significant. Two, he's not going to Wisconsin for 1 year to leave. That's not who Luke Fickell is, in my opinion. And obviously I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I am.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Zach Sloter, what's up, Zach, for $5? Appreciate you. I think both these teams are similar. Given preseason expectations, both have exceeded. BYU is just going to get better. Go Cyclones. I think my biggest concern, if I am Iowa State, is losing my head coach. Because especially if the Michigan job comes open, who's a better candidate? Jonathan Smith at Oregon State? That's certainly a name that they're going to call. But I think you look at Matt Campbell.
Strong candidate.
Very strong candidate. And the first guy, he's probably one of the first guys I would call. Jonathan Smith is fantastic. He's just a good dude.
That feels like a big jump, though. At least to me, anyway.
Oregon State to Michigan?
Yeah.
He's a really good recruiter. I think Jonathan Smith has done such a good job developing.
Well, I mean, you need to.
I think it'd be tough to find a better man to replace a guy as controversial as Jim Harbaugh than Jonathan Smith or Matt Campbell. Now, Lane Train, I think this is also part of the problem at Michigan.
Yeah.
Do you want a dynamic personality, or do you want somebody that's going to rubber stamp everything and be like, yep, done. Yep. Oh, yep. Michigan's great. All right. Go Wolverines. All right. Got to go.
Well, I think in today's day and age, you kind of need more personality, but the reality of the situation is Michigan does need someone that can just ride the ship out for a minute. Like, you don't want to rock the boat after what's gone on here with Jim.
But here's the problem. Michigan has expectations. They're not Ohio State. They have not won at a high level for a consistent amount of time.
Right.
They have been floundering. They have been, you just go back to the Rich Rods of the world, the Brady Hoax of the world. Michigan's been an embarrassment, right? And it goes back, and I know this pisses Wolverine fan off, and I'm not trying to, but it goes back to the Lloyd Carr, he's just not good enough thing. Well, has Jim Harbaugh really done a better job than Lloyd Carr? Because I would say, hell no, he is not. Right? But again, I'll just say, has he done a better job than Brady Hoke? But sure, my cousin would have done a better job. I think Brady Hoke is strictly a mediocre guy. But if you bring in a Jonathan Smith, I'm telling you, if you bring in a personality, a power presence like a Lane Kiffin, dude, you're in a different universe now. Now, Dan Mullen's a very interesting name who the next time his name comes up at Michigan, but come on, man. I like white paint.
He's a little generic.
I like white paint, but only on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I need somebody that's just going to dominate. And that is Jonathan Smith, Matt Campbell. If you really want to go to the next level and you want the top talent, I would go and get Lane Kiffin. I'd at least call him. I don't know that he'll leave the SIP right now because they're kicking ass. I think and the college football playoff comes out in 35 minutes. I'm telling you, by the time we get to Thanksgiving, if Lane Train is who I think he is this year, there's a real chance they're going to be right on the doorstep of the college football playoff. I think the only team that is locked in is Texas. I have a hard time seeing Texas not getting in. But yeah. Big shout out to Pete 40. Pete 40, our nudist. Whoa. Nudist?
Whoa, dog.
Pete, are you a nudist?
Dude, Pete, chill, bro.
Dude, okay. Big shout out to Pete 40. Forte? Are your fortes being a nudist? Okay. All right, Pete, way to go. It happens. At least I don't speak for a living.
Yeah.
Pete 40, our newest member. God,
you did it again, bro.
I did it again. Pete 40, our newest member. Pete, I appreciate you, man.